Days of Our Lives spoilers recap. Thursday, February 22, Everett collapses. Tate turns on Brady and Theresa. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. After watching these videos, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Days of Our Lives spoilers recap for Thursday, February 22, reveals that Brady Black and Theresa Donovan visited Tate Black at the halfway house, where he shut down his mama's clinch and complained about the food there. Tate griped about other effects as well, including all the remedy sessions and how they constantly asked him to talk about his passions. When the content of Tate's letters came up, he lashed out at Brady for participating his own letter with Theresa. Tate's spirits lifted compactly when he heard about Holly Jonas coming off the ventilator, since he hoped she'd wake up and tell the verity. Theresa and Brady gently prompted Tate to prepare for the possibility that Holly might not flash back what happened or that she'd try to condemn him. Tate lost his temper since he felt he was being penalized for his parents being addicts, but he maintained that he didn't ruin his life with medicines like they did. Brady and Theresa tried to get Tate to calm down, but he eventually ordered them to leave since he didn't have to allow callers. When Theresa and Brady tried to protest that they loved Tate, he said that was their problem and added that he abominated them both. As Tate stormed out, Brady and Theresa stood there looking dumbfounded. Meanwhile, Wendy Shin, Victoria Grace, awoke on Trip Johnson's casket and realized she'd fallen asleep in his arms. Trip and Wendy recalled how dirty Officer Goldman duped them into allowing they were going to a safe house, but also she pulled her armament on them and took their phones. Officer Goldman had forced Wendy and Trip into an old tank, which they were unfit to escape from. Although Officer Goldman ultimately returned with a bag of protein bars and water, she suggested Trip and Wendy should portion their inventories. Trip and Wendy assumed Clyde Weston was tangled up in all this and pledged to figure out a way out of the mess together. After Wendy and Trip allowed back to the van lift to their current position, they determined that it might be near the field. Wendy also had enterprises about the reflections and the possibility that someone might close them, but Tripp suggested they were demanded alive, or differently, they'd formerly be deceased. At the Salem PD on Thursday's day's occasion, Ava Vitale told Rafe Hernandez that Tripp and Wendy were missing. Rafe learned all the details about Tripp not showing up for his shift and called to confirm that Wendy didn't show up for work moreover. After Ava criticized Clyde for the hijackings, Rafe pushed her to position with him about why she believed that. Ava admitted her deal with Harris Michaels, but she acted like she was serving as a snitch to help him bring Clyde down. Ava didn't come clean about her medicine operation involvement, but she did argue that her deal with Harris boomeranged. Rafe ultimately ordered Officer Goldman to help with Ava's missing persons report and get a description. At the cantina on Thursday's Days of Our Lives show, Steve Johnson, Stephen Nichols, admitted he couldn't sleep last night, so he did some digging with the help of Stephanie Johnson find out the verity about Everett Lynch, Eka Robert, Bobby Stang. Steve mentioned a John Doe being brought in a Seattle sanitarium at the same time Everett claimed to have suffered an accident. Grounded on the length of this John Doe's stay that lined up with Everett's interpretation of events too. Still, Steve had a published dupe of Bobby's motorist license along with a birth instrument that showed no signs of a binary. Stephanie realized Bobby was indeed Everett, which made her the woman he cheated on Jada Hunter with. In Everett's suite on Thursday's day's occasion, he left Stephanie another frantic voicemail. After hanging up, Everett tried to make sense of why Jada allowed he was Herrick's husband and why he couldn't flash back what happened right before the accident. Jada showed up and slogged in with a box that included their marriage instrument along with a marriage day print. Although Jada pushed Everett to just enjoy up to everything he'd done, he came decreasingly agitated since he couldn't recall any of it. Jada eventually took Everett's fingerprints and proved he was Bobby, so Stephanie got updates on that news when she arrived. After Jada prompted Stephanie to run and not let Everett break her heart, she pledged to keep digging and expose Bobby's story, maybe in some rival review. Once Stephanie was alone with Everett, she flew into a rage over him, acting like they were erecting a life together when she was really just his doxy. None of it was real, according to Stephanie, but Everett dissented since every moment was real to him. Stephanie wondered if Everett was some kind of sociopath, but he maintained that he couldn't flash back his marriage to Jada and also began to feel ill. Everett collapsed on Thursday's day's occasion, so Stephanie tended to him and compactly wondered if he faked passing out. Still, Everett was legitimately pale and glacial, so Stephanie decided they'd more get him to the sanitarium. Back with Jada, she set up Rafe at the Salon PD and told him about attesting Everett was Bobby through his fingerprints. Jada got some comfort from Rafe before shifting gears and preparing to help with the Tripp and Wendy case. Ava also summoned Steve to the station, where she intimately came clean to him about Clyde blackmailing her into the medicine business. Although Ava had done everything she could to cover Tripp, Clyde had obviously gone after their son, as well as Wendy. Ava prayed Steve to save their boy, but he sounded offended over her thinking she'd have to maintain for that. Steve claimed he'd track Tripp and Wendy down, but he advised that Ava would make a full concession to the Bobbies after he did. Days of Our Lives spoilers say there's further Clyde chaos coming up, so stick with Days of Our Lives. Days of Our Lives spoilers. Friday, February 23. Stefan's secret meeting. Xander's argument. Ava's plea to Harris. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Friday, February 23 reveal that Xander Cook will plead with Rafe Hernandez to see that he's being framed for a crime he's not responsible for. Although Justin Kiriakis and Sarah Horton will back Xander up, Rafe has to follow the evidence here, and it currently points straight to Xander. However, it's easy to see that Xander is telling the truth about his innocence. There are more revelations to come regarding who went after Harris Michaels on the loading dock. Whether Stefan DiMera actually pulled the trigger or not, he's definitely tangled up in all this. Days spoilers say Clyde Weston will push Stefan to visit Statesville on Friday's Days of Our Lives episode, so they'll have a tense meeting. That could be when it'll become clear Stefan is far more involved in Harris' horrific ordeal than he wants Ava Vitally or the cops to know. Speaking of Ava, she'll sit by Harris' hospital bed and deliver a heartfelt plea for him to awaken. Ava will open up about her love for Harris and hope they still have a chance to pursue a happy ending together. Harris is set to wake up as the week of February 26 March 1 kicks off according to Days spoilers. So the February 23 cliffhanger might set the stage for that as his eyes flutter open. Ava's going to be relieved once she knows Harris is Oak, but he'll remain in danger due to Clyde Weston's lingering threat and Stefan's forced cooperation. Other Days spoilers say Konstantin Melonis will try to back Steve Johnson into a corner. Although Konstantin will push for more information about the pawn, Steve may be in no mood to deal with him. Steve has already been researching Everett Lynch aka Bobby Stain to help Stephanie Johnson, and now he has to carry out a search for Tripp Johnson, Lucas Adams, and Wendy Shin as well. It's clear that Steve's family has to be the priority right now, so he may lash out at Konstantin and insist this conversation will have to wait. Days of Our Lives spoilers say John Black's past will come back to haunt him in some surprising ways down the road, so stay tuned for updates on the bad news that's looming. Thanks for watching these videos. Please hit the subscribe button for more updated news.